And the United States Justice Department has now launched a sweeping investigation into policing practices in Minneapolis just a day after the verdict in the Chauvin case. Joining me to talk a little bit more about this tonight is veteran civil rights attorney Charles Coleman Jr. Charles, thanks so much for a bit of your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Rob, always good to see you. It's been too long.
How significant is the announcement that the DOJ made today?
Well, I think when you place it in context around the Derek Chauvin verdict and everything that we have seen, particularly with the Daunte Wright case and in a number of incidents involving police in Minnesota, I think it does bear some significance. But I don't want to get too excited because at the end of the day, we've seen this movie before and we know how it ends. We saw a similar investigation launched under Eric Holder as Attorney General in Ferguson, Missouri. And what the Department of Justice found in that instance was that there was evidence of systemic wrongdoing and racism, but they did not charge any particular officers or do anything other than enter into a consent decree around some of the reform measures that needed to take place. So the question that I have is, if you do conduct this investigation and you find that there is wrongdoing and you find that there is a pattern or a practice around police policy being problematic in Minnesota, what teeth are you going to have policy-wise to make sure that there is accountability and change?
What remedies? We hear a lot about reform and training and all those sorts of things. What are some, as the way you see it, what are some practical steps you think police departments could take to win back trust, to get out of this moment that we are in? What's practically possible and also effective?
Well, the first thing that I'll say is that internally, policing cannot fix itself until it is willing to acknowledge that it has a problem and something is wrong. In all of the work that I do, and the conversations that I have, I find it very interesting that police of all professions, of any discipline, in any arena, are the only ones who will respond to criticism by simply saying, you don't know how difficult our jobs are. So if there's a refusal to admit and acknowledge that there needs to be a reimagination of policing in America, it is unfair and unrealistic that we would expect that change to occur from the inside. So that leaves us to look from the outside. And in terms of police culture in America, there cannot be any culture without accountability. And the main barrier to accountability for police culture in America is the doctrine of qualified immunity. I live in New York, and New York was one of the first places in the country where the legislature has decided to move away and ban qualified immunity. Since that time, we've seen similar measures passed in New Mexico, as well as in Colorado. The effect there, the value of doing that is that it creates automatic accountability for officers with respect to wrongdoing. We cannot legislate a mindset. We can only do so much to train and unprogram and reprogram police officers who have come to the job with literally 10 to 15 to 20 years in some cases of unconscious bias that they may or may not be willing to confront. But what we can do is ensure accountability by creating measures that will hold police officers responsible for their actions.
One of the lawyers, another civil rights attorney who worked on the Chauvin case, said something yesterday. I mentioned this on the show last night, and he said during the press conference, the whole world shouldn't have to rally to get justice for one man. One, any reaction to that thought? And then two, was it just a big verdict and a big news day yesterday, or do you think we'll see anything substantive change practically or culturally based on yesterday's verdict?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. But what I will say is that we have attached a great deal of weight to this case, understandably so, because it was something that occurred that was witnessed across the world over. But we should be clear about something. This is not the gold standard of American jurisprudence. This is not our ceiling, Rob. This is our floor. If it takes a man being killed in broad daylight on video while being restrained in handcuffs in the prone position, not resisting, with a police officer's knee on his neck for almost 10 minutes, for us as a society to say collectively that was wrong. If it takes all of that to secure a conviction, then simply Black lives do not matter to the extent that we have said that they do. Because there are countless other videos, there will be countless other shootings, there will be countless other offenses by law enforcement against members of all different communities that need to be addressed that will not have video. So the question then becomes, what do we do about those things? So I think that we have to approach the Chauvin verdict with the proper amount of levity and perspective around what work we have in front of us around, dealing with and addressing police reform in America for years to come.
And we don't know all the details just yet, but since the verdict yesterday, there have been 3 more incidents in the country where African Americans have been killed by police. Again, we don't know the exact details, but we now know what happened in Columbus. Another incident in North Carolina and incident in California have come to light or happened since the verdict yesterday. So to your point about the problem certainly goes beyond what happened yesterday. Thanks so much for your time tonight, for your insight. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll talk again soon. Thank you.